Formula One is no longer just a high-speed race. It's a booming investment opportunity that has generated staggering returns over the last 8 years under the ownership of Liberty Media. To better understand the ecosystem that catapulted the sport into a multi-billion-dollar business, let's dive into the ways F1 makes its money. At the series level, the financial engine of Formula One is driven by 3 primary and substantial revenue streams: media deals, promotion fees, and forging sponsorships. While F1 generates additional income through avenues like premium hospitality experiences and merchandise licensing, the core business relies on these 3 pillars to fund the sport and distribute prize money to the competing teams.
Sport platforms now almost operate as infrastructure assets. You have contractual indexed cash flow. So sponsorship deals, they're 3 years, they're 5 years, they're 10 years. Media deals, they're 3 years, they're 5 years, they're 10 years. And so you've got predictable P&L, you've got recurring cash flows, and that's the model for really, really good business.
Teams have also become viable businesses themselves, thanks in large part to the 2021 implementation of a cost cap. The system limits team spending in many areas related to the design and construction of their race cars, and was meant to help level the playing field after an arms race sent the top team's annual budgets soaring past $400 million. The result? For the first time in F1's history, profitability is within reach for every team on the grid. That new financial landscape has investors racing to get into Formula One. Forbes estimates all 10 F1 teams are worth at least $1.5 billion, and the average valuation has revved up to $3.6 billion, an 89% increase since 2023. That number also translates to about 8 times average revenue, a huge jump from the 4.9 multiple in 2023 and the 2.3 multiple in 2019.
If you want to grow a business, a league, a championship as a whole, it doesn't require only investment at the league level, it also requires the right investors at the team level. And to do that, you also need to change, create infrastructure that also, gives comfort to investors that if they're doing the right thing, they're going to be returning money at the end of the day. Formula One these days versus, 3-4 years ago is completely different. The offering is much higher. Sponsors can do much more with the product. But at the end of the day, what that does is that it also increases the amount of brands that are interested in investing, and then obviously that creates more of a bidding war, and sponsorship value goes up. And I really do believe that will keep going.
Formula One's massive global footprint has naturally drawn in a host of big-name brands, particularly technology companies. For them, it's about more than just slapping their logos on a race car. They're embedding themselves with the teams, leveraging the partnership to elevate their profiles with both existing and potential clients.
It gives me a branded experience to bring customers to the track, see my technology at work, have that team tell my customer or my prospect how that technology is helping them go faster on the track or be a bit more efficient off track. It's helped me kind of engage my employees, attract new talent. It's really become this fully integrated opportunity for business to business specific organizations. And candidly, if you look at the size of the deals that an enterprise B2B company does, they don't need to close a lot of business in order to effectively pay for their sponsorship. Whereas, it takes you got to sell a lot of cans of baked beans to pay for what a sponsorship costs.
As F1 proves its value as a marketing platform, the price of sponsorship has spiked. Team naming rights deals, for instance, now start at tens of millions of dollars a year. Even so, brands continue to view Formula One sponsorships as worthwhile investments because of the sport's growing viewership and reach across a calendar that features 24 Grand Prix races in 21 countries on 5 continents.
I think the awareness Formula One creates, we tell people it's kind of getting you famous fast because you put together a partnership and overnight, and 2 weeks later, you're in 200 countries. But that was an awareness play, and I think the whole world now has moved to an engagement experience. And I think that's why Formula One is so popular, is there's many different ways to engage with our very fascinating sport. So I think the sponsorship world has shifted from awareness, just purely eyeballs, to engagement experiences, putting the product or the services in the hands of people in a relevant way.
According to research firm Sponsor United, Formula One teams generated a combined $2.04 billion in sponsorship revenue in 2024, more than NBA, MLB, or NHL teams in the same year. These partners are drawn to the sport's technical advancements and leverage events like F1 Arcade at the Las Vegas Grand Prix as high-value networking platforms.
We have an experiential licensing strategy alongside just retail, which are the merchandise partnerships we mentioned, to make sure that fans can touch it, see it, and smell it a lot more. It's not a cheap ticket. We all know that wherever you go in the world, it's a one-off event and a bucket list item. And so we've worked with our friends at F1 Arcade. We've opened in Vegas as well. And it just gives people the chance to drive a Formula One car in a simulator whilst having food and drink and hanging out with friends. In addition to something called F1 Exhibition, which is a traveling show that gives the history of the sport.
And speaking of F1 host cities like Las Vegas, the series generates a substantial amount of revenue from promotion fees paid by cities for the rights to stage a Grand Prix.
If you look at 10 years ago, certain tracks were paying $3 million, $5 million, to host a Formula One race, and now you see tracks like Jeddah paying $60 million to have a race there. I mean, that's a huge difference in a short amount of time, and I think there's a lot of regions in the world and a lot of potential tracks that could keep going with this level of fees, and I think obviously that's very, very attractive for Formula One. The reason why we believe that this will also keep growing is that at the end of the day, a lot of this is public funded. You see a lot of trends that public money is directed towards sports because it's something that just, broadly speaking, benefits people, a country, and gets people together. So I think the incentives behind public money will just make it easier for Formula One to keep growing and really considering these promoter fees as a real revenue stream.
Do we generally see kind of the higher end, kind of the more astonishing size fees coming out of the Middle East, or how does that compare across the different countries?
Of course, Middle East is a region of the world that can pay. Obviously, their public money is much easier for them to decide what to do, and obviously they want to attract more and more people into the region, especially now that many of these countries in the Middle East are opening up to the world. So there's obviously the incentives to do it. But I think there's also other regions of the world that have a lot of money and that want to bring a true global event like Formula One that could also compete with that.
These cities believe that whatever they're having to put in, they're getting back out several times over.
When it comes to revenue, the fiscal impact of Formula One rivals Super Bowl. I mean, you're talking over $1 billion in fiscal revenue that are impacts that come from both of those events, and Formula One holds its own.
After this immense growth, where does F1 go from here? While media rights and sponsorships will remain crucial, the untapped frontier is fan monetization. Teams are now focused on unlocking digital applications, tiered subscriptions, and unique experiences to convert their global fan bases into a predictable revenue stream.
Where are we in the growth curve of F1? Are we starting to flatten out? Are we continuing to grow up?
I think we're still growing, right? And I think we're still going to continue to grow up. Again, I go back to kind of where those market opportunities are. Yeah. And again, the pure economics of the sport. You have a business that has forward cash flows, it has limited cost caps, and it has green space to run in terms of some of these new markets. Asia, Middle East, US, again, largely untapped. Think about an NFL team, an NFL game. An average NFL game on TV is 12 million viewers. Formula One's getting like 1.2. Yeah. So there's a delta of 10x in there. So that tells me that there's still huge opportunity.
I think one of the main reasons why we saw this crazy growth was obviously, in the last 5 years, we went from nobody really knowing much around how an F1 team operated and what is really F1 to now there being a massive amount of investors wanting to buy in, and obviously there's a huge scarcity element. So obviously that's just market dynamics.